Hello everyone, Killer Shrew fan here, and I hope you're all doing well. Now, after a brief delay, I think it is finally time that we take a look at some of the new for 2019 Safari LTD figures. And of course, we will be starting off with this, the new for 2019 Safari Limited Stegosaurus. Now, if you recall my reaction video wherein I discussed all of the new for 2019 lineup from Safari, you will remember me saying I was a little bit on the fence about this particular figure. It looked a little bit awkward to me, and it didn't have a lot to make it like grab me per se, and the price point on this thing for the size seemed a little bit out there. It seemed a little bit high up. So now it is time to find out if this thing is actually worth the price tag and a little bit better than I initially intended. But in order to do that, we first have to get her out of the bag. So this is everyone's favorite part. Just a quick tear and a pull, and there is our Stegosaurus. And I gotta say, first impressions, I think I do enjoy this figure. I'm gonna give you guys a closer look at her, as I always do, but just right off the bat, I think she is a good size. A good size in the hand. She feels great in the hand. I love the coloration on the plates, and the detailing is much more apparent in person than it is in the promo images, I am very happy to say. But without further ado, I think it is time we give you guys a closer look at Safari Ltd's new Stegosaurus. So without further ado, let's do this! So starting off at the head of this figure, I just want to say, wow, this thing has so much character and life to it. Safari Limited have often proved that they have a good grasp on making things seem very lifelike, very approachable, like they're about to take a step forward on your desk. But this one, for whatever reason, definitely feels like it is a step above the rest. Maybe it's the gloss in the eye or the naturalistic wrinkles and folds of skin down around the beak, but there is just something about the head on this Stegosaurus that really strikes me as lifelike and lived in, which is definitely a win on Safari Limited's part. And it's not just the character behind it, it's definitely the incredibly subtle details. I mean, look at the tiny scaling and subtle wrinkles going on this thing, and then you go to the gullet, which is marked by all of these pebble-like scales. There's a beautiful wrinkle between the underbelly and the midsection, the crosshatch sort of leathery skin that goes on across the entire surface here. I mean, just look at all of the detail here, and some of it is even saddled with incredibly subtle scaling, which is absolutely beautiful. I just love the wrinkles and folds of skin around the gut and the shoulder blade, and how the skin is pushed up against the midsection by the flexing thigh there, and all of the wrinkles and folds of skin going on behind the leg there. And as you can see, the crosshatch leathery skin and subtle scaling textures continue all the way down to the tip of the tail. We've got some focus issues going on, but it's definitely there. Moving back up the opposite side, it's really the same story in terms of all of the sculptural details. I mean, just look at that. Look at those tiny scales you can see just polka dotting the surface of this thing. And I absolutely love the wrinkles forming the swell of the gut on this side. You've got a great indication of the shoulder blade on the right side of the creature as it turns its head slightly to the left. You can't see that face, but trust me, that face is so incredible. Taking a look at the legs here, you can see more subtle scaling going on, along with more of the wrinkles and folds of skin as the elbows and knees bend at the joints. The toe claws are painted a nice sleek black color, and another nice addition here is the paint scheme. It looks like they painted on some thicker paint, a darker color, to make it look like this Stegosaurus has been trotting through mud or something, which really gives this thing a story and endows it with even more life and personality. Taking a look at the famous plates of the Stegosaurus along with the Thagomizer spikes are not textured, but luckily the same cannot be said for the plates on the Stegosaurus' back here. I mean, just look at that texture. It gives this thing such a lived-in, worn look, which is so important. They could have just as easily, you know, sculpted some flat, boring planes and called them plates, but they went the extra mile with this thing and gave it texturing and rough surfacing, really making it look lived in. If we go along the underbelly, you can get a better look at the scaling going on the throat, along with the pectoral musculature going on, the wrinkles down around the gut, and the swell of the gut, and there you can see Stegosaurus, copyright 2019, Safari Ltd, made in China. And as you can see, the sort of skin folds and hanging skin continue all the way down the tail on the underbelly as well, and there you can see the thagomizer once more. As far as the posing goes, it's nothing too incredible, nothing too out there. This Stegosaurus is taking a slight step forward, bracing its left leg and back, or left arm and back back right leg, excuse me, I can't talk, back right leg against the ground as the right arm is put a little bit forward. It is still on the ground, but it is enough to make this thing look like it has some movement. And then, of course, the head is craning off slightly to the left there as if eyeing a potential meal or mate, and then the tail swings off to the left behind it. Now, as far as the paint scheme goes, this was something that Safari Limited chose to alter for whatever reason before the release of this figure. I will say that it is incredibly well done. The coloration does gradiate so incredibly well from one color to the next. It looks incredibly natural. There's never a moment where it feels painted on. But as a direct result of choosing to shy away from the yellows and take the browns from the dorsal region down onto the body, the result is just a dull coloration all across the board. I mean, the plates are easily the best splash of color, but even so, they're a more muted orange than the promo images, and as such, the thing just doesn't look that interesting. It looks kind of bland and boring. As far as the size goes, you're looking at, if I can unroll this thing here, you're looking at right around, I want to say, yeah, 8¼ inch from the tip of the snout to the tip of the tail, which is about 21 centimeters, and then from the base all the way to the highest point, which is the back plate above the hip in this case, you're looking at 4½ inches off the ground, which is about 11½ centimeters. Oh, I'm sorry, 4¼ inches, which is about 11 centimeters. So, not a small figure by any stretch of the imagination, but kinda small for the exorbitant price tag of this thing. For size comparison, here it is next to the recently reviewed, also new for 2019, Safari Ltd Camarasaurus. Link is in the description for that review. And as you can see, the Stegosaurus is a bit on the large size to be in scale with this Camarasaurus, but as far as play compatibility goes, these two definitely work well off of each other and could easily be displayed as part of a sort of Jurassic period diorama, and the Camarasaurus could easily work possibly as a subadult or juvenile, whatever you want to play it as. But yes, play compatible for sure. Next up for size comparison, here is Safari Ltd's Stegosaurus next to the Papo Stegosaurus, and as you can see, these two are pretty close in terms of the overall sizing. They come up to roughly the same height with their plates, and they are similar in terms of the length. As far as play compatibility goes, not at all. The stylistic approach of Papo, coupled with the standout detailing and scaling, really clashes with the more subtle approach of Safari Ltd's offering. Well everyone, that is going to do it for our look at the Safari Ltd new for 2019 Stegosaurus. Overall, I think this figure is pretty darn good. I think it is, it's obviously accurate. The sculptural details are impressive. The proportions, all of that look great. The character in the head, the lifelike nature of this thing is definitely a win. The only issue that I have with it is the paint job, though well applied, is a bit on the dull side, and the price point of this thing for the size and just the fact that it is nothing to like stand out, it does feel a bit up there in my opinion. It doesn't feel like it's quite worth the price tag that Safari Ltd slapped onto this thing. But beyond that, I think this is a fantastic figure, so much so that I think I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7 out of 10. As always, I would love to hear what you guys think of this model. Do you own it yet? Are you planning to pick it up? What figure are you most excited for from Safari Ltd for 2019? and which version of the Stegosaurus is your favorite in toy form. Let me know any thoughts down in the comments section below, and if you enjoyed our review today, feel free to let us know by hitting that like button, and if you feel like you'd like to hear from us again down the road, don't forget to subscribe on your way out. We got a couple more Safari Limited figure reviews coming your way shortly. Thanks again for tuning in, and that's going to do it for us today. Killer Shrew Fan, out.